Hey guys, this is Jay here from Gymaware. Really hope you're enjoying Coach Matt's podcast series so far. Here at Gymaware, we've just released our brand new VBT product, Flex. So I just want to give you a bit of insight into what it is and how it could help you as a coach or athlete. Flex uses brand new laser optic technology to measure barbell velocity, so like Gymaware, it's highly accurate. The device connects straight to your iPhone or iPad. We've had an independent validation study to confirm that Flex is highly accurate. We have loads of awesome features already, and our experienced development team continues to work on software updates each and every day. Key performance metrics are available, including both peak and mean velocity, peak and mean power, distance, bar position and bar path. If you guys want any more information on Flex, velocity-based training, just be sure to reach out, go to our website, check us out on socials as well. But for now, we hope you enjoy the rest of Coach DeMayo's podcast.
The world of strength and conditioning is filled with some fantastic practitioners that are always searching for more. But more what? What are strength and conditioning coaches searching for to better their ability to prepare their athletes? Well, what about cutting-edge information? Or a place where you can find different opinions from forward-thinking coaches on what you're doing, how you're doing, and try to get feedback to be better for your athletes? Or what about a place where you'll find like-minded coaches that can provide solid coaching advice and career development for you as you progress through your career as a strength and conditioning professional? Well, this is exactly why we built the Strength Coach Network. You'll have access to exclusive monthly content on top of the sensationally active forum that we have, where you can communicate with coaches all over the world to find those answers that you're looking for to help you be a better practitioner for your athletes. So make sure you hop on over to strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPs, that's strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS, and get your 48-hour trial for only $1. I look forward to seeing you in the Strength Coach Network.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 82nd episode of Outside the Rack, brought to you by Kinetic Performance, the makers of Gymaware. In this show, we're just going to try to dive a little deeper in the minds of the top practitioners in the world of sport performance to learn a little bit more about who they actually are and how they got to where they are today. Today, we are joined by Salisbury University's coordinator of sport performance, Matt Nein. Matt, thanks for being with us, man.
Coach, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, man, fired up. I'm glad we could chop it up a little before. I'm glad you're doing great, in this insane world that we're trying to navigate through. But before we get too far into all of this, bud, who is Matt Nein?
Coach, man, Matt Nein, I guess I'm somebody, or my vision of kind of what I look for or who I am and what guides me every day is someone who's going to impact, influence, and inspire, right? No matter what. So whether it's my kids, I look back at like what I value, and family is one of the critical pieces that I value. And so with my family, with athletes that I work with, the coaches on my staff, the coaches that I interact with, my job or what I do every day is to impact, influence, inspire greatness. That's what I live every day. From when the feet get on the floor, the alarm goes off, you've got that whole day to just make people better around you. Again, that's what I live by. I try to live by that every day. And again, some days are better than others, obviously, but again, that's the focus of who I am and what I try to do every day.
I think that's a great little credo too, because I think that like all too often when we get into talking about these things as coaches, we look at things that only really matter within the walls of the weight room or that are measurable performance indicators and things of that nature. But when you're talking about like a life credo right there, like I want to be someone who's going to impact, influence, and inspire. And that comes down to in the room, out of the room, at home, finance, all the stuff. Like that's freaking rad, dude. And that's rad because it could be something that's on the wall of a weight room, but it's actually real.
Yeah, and like you said, it transcends through everything. And again, it goes back to no matter what moment you're in, what event happened, or whatever it is, it's always taking that pause, and understanding, hey, this is what guides me, right? Again, you can easily have emotional takeover and things like that, but hey, you know what? again, we all have those frustrations of whatever it may be, the situations that we're in, the athletes, not getting it. But again, at the end of the day, it's my job to impact, influence, and inspire, greatness. And so I do have to control my emotions a little bit more, right, to be able to impact that. And it's the same thing comes with my kids. This morning, getting ready for school, my daughter she had 3 shoe choice options. She's 2 years old. Didn't want any of the 3. And it's like, well, I could either get really, really fired up here, or we could figure out how to influence her to choose the right shoe. And so we ended up choosing the right shoe, I guess, eventually, giving some opportunity choices and things like that. But again, I mean, that's what it's all about. And, it's not about just the weight room, it's about everything else, right? It gets deeper than the weight room. But then if you're just looking at the weight room piece, it's not enough, right? It's not what makes people great.
No doubt, man.
Better,
especially
not great.
Right. There's a lot of lessons. There's a lot of things you can grow and develop and learn there, but it's not going to be contrary to what we would all like it to be.
Very true.
It maybe isn't quite that cure-all that we think.
As opportunities, again, as you as the coach then need to figure out how to take advantage of them.
No doubt. But as a coach to have a credo like this, there's some things that have happened. There's some things that have made you take a step back and look at this to come up with these ideas. So I'm pretty fired up for number 1, man. If you wouldn't mind, describe a learning situation that brought about an epiphany in your career.
I've had 2. So hopefully that's okay if I can get with 2, because one was as a player, and I think it was, it's really changed my life drastically. And it was, I was a college baseball player, and, the value of hard work and effort, consistency, I wasn't very good. I threw about 80 to 83 miles an hour, on any given day. But for me, and I wanted to play. Like, I had this dream, to play college baseball, to want to be out on that field. And I was going to do anything I could to get there. And just constantly putting in that, again, I think consistency was a critical word for me there, is that I had to do it day in and day out, because I was never going to throw 90 miles an hour. But what it did was it allowed me to be prepared if a moment came, and a moment happened to come, and I took advantage of it. And the second moment came, and I took advantage of that. I took a no-hitter into the 7th inning of my my second college start. And then the next game after that, I threw a complete game shutout against UNC Chapel Hill. And all of a sudden, I now became the number 4 conference starter, just like that. I had literally thrown 7 innings in 3 years prior to that event. And again, it was that, moment that, hey, this was more of like a reflecting moment, is that work that went in, the effort and the consistency of that work does pay in the long run. So that was the first one in my career, and that kind of formulated me as a strength coach. And I think it had a great impact on this impact, influence, inspire concept, is that, somewhere along the line, somebody, and my dad was one of them, who impacted me on my work ethic, to push and drive and just to be the best you can every single day. And again, so that's where it came from. And then the second one was as a coach, is I got a job offer to leave in my 3rd or 4th year here. I've been here now 17 years, and that job offer was good. It was a lifelong dream to be a work in professional baseball as a minor league coordinator. And but again, timing wasn't great. Family, value of family was there. And so I had to make this decision in that moment, is, do I leave or do I not leave? And I chose to stay. But in that moment, that's when that epiphany came, and said, you know what, if you're going to stay, you're probably not going to get this opportunity again. So you better make damn sure that you come out here and absolutely crush this from this point on. And I don't think, like, before that, I almost think like I was just kind of going through the motion. I still worked hard, right, at what I do, but there wasn't anything driving. And all of a sudden, this moment now started this drive, and really put it into gear and say, hey, you know what? If you're staying, we're going to make this place freaking great. Right? And from that moment on, it was, hey, let's make this the best Division III strength and conditioning program in the country, right? And I've got it still written, right here on my sheet, right? As my goal statement, hey, to make this the top strength conditioning program in the country. And it's something that stays laminated with me wherever we go. It stays in my backpack. So I know exactly, or if it's not in my backpack, it's in my pocket. So again, you have those refreshers right back in, but those are the one from the effort and work, and the second one from, hey, let's make this thing great. And that was 14 years ago.
Piggybacking off that, the first one, do you ever, this is a wrong word, but use that experience with the athletes when they sit there and there's someone who maybe is just like, why do we do all this? Why do we do that? Blah, blah, blah. When they get into their like mopey late teen, early 20 phases, because people get those. Does your experience as an athlete help connect with them when you give that example? Because that could have a lot.
It does. And I think that's it's a good story to utilize, to talk about, whether it's in a group setting. I've done it in group settings. I've done it to one-on-one individual, to talk about that and say, you have the athlete who isn't highly talented, and who constantly comes in and work hard, to be able to give them that story, say, hey man, keep grinding, right? Things will change, again, the biggest thing is, are you ready for the moment, when the moment is brought? And most people fail, or not necessarily fail, but they mentally, are nervous or scared or hesitant because they haven't fully prepared. But in that moment, I had nothing going on. I felt that I was fully prepared because of the work that I had put in, knowing that I had, I was going in, watching film, making sure my technique work was done. Whether the coach would work with me or not, it didn't matter. Give me a drill, I'll go do it. Those types of things. And so being able to sit and talk with an athlete who does work hard on one end, but then you have that group, of athletes who, like you said, want to know about, why are we doing all this? What is the value of it? And you get in that opportunity, to talk about effort and consistency. And it's one of the things that drives me nuts, though, is the concept of consistency, where we struggle the most, unfortunately.
No doubt. And then on the second one, I think that the most valuable point to that is the fact that, like, all too often, everyone that is in sports is just talking about the climb or the next or whatever. And people need to start understanding that there is a vast power when it comes to your life in general and being able to be someplace more than 18 months to 3 years.
Yeah. And again, it was a hard decision, because it was that life dream. It's like, oh yeah, I get to work in professional baseball and work with the best athletes, in the world, but I get to work with some pretty darn good athletes here, so it was bringing that level back, saying, you know what, you do get, what you have here. And everyone thinks it's always greener on the other side, but is it, and how green do you have it right now? How good is it right now? And sometimes people make that wrong decision, and go, and then, they're hating life. Having that opportunity here with family, my parents, my wife's parents nearby to help with the kids and so forth, has been, instrumental in my career. I wouldn't have been able to do probably half of what I've been able to do without that network around. So sometimes it's the job itself, the title isn't all that it's cracked out to be. And we have to be able to accept that. And that was my thing, is, what, we're accepting it. I'm okay with it. Like, I believe I made the right decision. And at that moment, though, it was, hey, you know what, let's go and crush, right? Because it was never brought to me like in that mindset before. I always worked hard, right? But now it's like, you know what, let's make this thing freaking fantastic. And that was our goal, and it still is today. It's, hey, we got to be better than every other Division III program in the country. Whatever it is that we do, from how we teach our interns to how we develop our coaching staff to how we interact with our athletes, we're going to do it better than everybody else. At least we're going to, make that attempt. So, again, it's attacking that mindset, another core value of ours.
Yeah. And in order to be able to come to those conclusions and to build all those things, you've needed to be able to sit back and evaluate and ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads us to number 2, buddy.
All right.
If Matt could ask one question and he knows he's going to get the answer to it, what would that question be and why?
It goes back to one of the other ones here. I got the first one here is why don't athletes do the summer program? Goes back to consistency, right? But that's just joking aside there. I think every strength coach would want to know why, you put these programs together and they don't actually, why they come back and, either they haven't done anything or haven't done it, no matter how in depth we talk, how in depth we work, right? But the biggest one for me though, was listening to Russell Wilson talk. And he brought it back up the other day about when he was getting the Walter Payton Award, about love changing everything and how love changes everything. And my biggest thing is, how do we get them to love more? How do we get to love each other more? How do we get to love what we do, whether it's in the weight room or it's the classroom or it's on the field? Love changes everything. And it's really to me, that statement is really impactful because it does. If you love what you do every day, great things happen, right? But not everybody does, or not everybody loves each other that they work with. And as a coach, it's how do you figure that out? And if somebody had a magic playbook that had, the playbook of love, that'd be the first book on my, read list here. To you tell me exactly what I need to do, and man, we're going to get after it because it does change everything.
Dude, 100%. And as much of a joke as the first question was, it really is a really good question.
It is, because I think it's everybody's frustration.
Yeah, especially now that like most of them aren't pen and paper or like paper and printed out anymore. Now they're all online and like through apps, like whether it be Coach Me Plus or Team Builder or Bridge or whatever. So you can actually see like that they're just not even looking at it.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no, but I think that the idea of how we can get them to love more, especially in a time where, gosh, it's just the world's just so divisive. I think that even goes in such a broader scale anyway.
Yeah. Well, and it's all in sport. It's a lot about me. It's a lot about me getting my time, my award, or whatever it is. And again, what does that bring? It brings that dissension within the team or separation, and it doesn't bring it together. And you hear stories, or you listen to podcasts or read books, and it's those athletes who are able to sacrifice themselves for the betterment of the next person around them, is where we see greatness really start to take off and success.
Yeah. I mean, as an upstate New Yorker, as much as I hate to say this, I think the primary example was that little football game that we just saw. And, number 12 just seems to do that, man. Yeah. I'm not going to say his name.
There's something there.
Fan, I just, everybody knows who he is because he's the best ever to do it. But
there's something there. He's able to create something.
It must be, right? Whatever it is, they're doing something right.
I think that the environment that was in, along with the head coaching staff, you looked at his assistant coaching staff with 2 females on staff. I mean, who's doing that? There's something there. They're doing something right.
Yeah, man. Success leaves clues, man. It totally does.
It does. Very true.
But listen, man, with everything that you're doing, and I don't know if you get enough credit for how much you've helped coaches around the entire strength and conditioning stratosphere, when it comes to improving the profession. The obvious accolade that you got, was it 2 years ago from the NSCA?
18, yeah.
But, you do a lot to help people get better. you're coaching a ton of athletes down there. You're helping coaches as a mentor with a bunch of GAs there. But eventually, there needs to be a time to come back to neutral. So what's your escape?
For me, woodworking. So I started off getting into making jersey cases. And so I would actually make them for our seniors on our women's basketball team, and like customizable jersey cases. And then that just expanded into, I mean, I've pretty much redone my whole entire house, from, you know, my daughter's bedrooms with bookcases and beds, and all integrated into whole context of things. I'm actually starting to work on my daughter's room now. I've done our living room, me and my wife's bedroom. It's fun. It's that relief, and it's fun to bring the kids in too and help. Obviously they're not there the whole time, because, man, again, that's pretty stressful enough. But you know, having that opportunity to step back a little bit, and you know, you just get to think. There's a lot of in your head, you know, you have that space for you to just think and relax, you know, reflect, whatever it may be, and just do what is fun. You know, that to me, woodworking, I really enjoy that piece of downtime. So
I wish I had some form of creative bone or ability to do things like that, man. It's somewhere in my body, but like when I hear people that can do things like that, I'm just like, man, one.
I've got ways to go.
Well,
But
yeah.
there's some other strength coaches out there doing some pretty fine woodworking, and I'm like, man, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Not quite
B-Man
there
does a
yet.
bunch.
Brian Mann, yeah. Zach Houghton, he's done some pretty good stuff. There's some good ones out there. We have to start our own business.
Yeah.
Coach's woodworking shop.
Well, that's one of the COVID rules, right? You got to come up with a side hustle, and it was, or else you didn't. Like, did you actually COVID if you don't have a side hustle? You know,
I know I've got a side hustle. So.
We've all got to, man. We've all got to. Well, listen, Matt, truly appreciate your time, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, dude. We'll be in touch real soon, man. Cheers.
Awesome. Take care.